All right, let's go. Today I'm gonna give you the tools to pretty much spin any situation to the point where you feel like you're in a good mindset. It is some woo-woo crap, I can't even lie to you. It's some woo-woo, mysterious, like change your mindset type, change the reality, spirituality feeling stuff, but it helped me out and it got me to some dark places. And as someone who's trying to be the first successful entrepreneur in my family, I'm 22 years old, I've had to use this a few times already just to get through situations where I was the only person thinking the way I was thinking. And from that happening, I was pretty much the only person on my side in a conversation for long periods of time, for hours at a time, for days at a time. And I use this model, look at the screen, right? Oh man, you get a little head start, a little sneak peek. I use this model to allow me to spin limiting beliefs and move forward despite the biases of those around me and the negative mindsets of those who did not understand what I was trying to shoot for and don't have the capacity themselves to do what I'm trying to shoot for. So, with that in mind, the grass is greener on the other side. Yes, there is, but it's also shittier. So, let's say I'm deciding I want to do an opportunity. Opportunity A is an agency. Opportunity B is an info product business. Both of those are ones that I had to go through and I'm working on now. Right now is only info product business, and I changed from agency to that on my process. The entire mindset of doing entrepreneurship versus 9 to 5 is also the same situation where they both work. The grass is greener on the 9 to 5 side for some things, but it's also greener on the side of business for some things. We want the business side. We want to be the first people in our family to actually have massive success in business. There probably are some folks in our family that have like small success, like maybe a dentist shop or some sort of like smaller business, like a convenience store or a hair salon. But we want to be scales and levels above that. So we gotta think differently. Cut this in out real quick. All right. Yeah, I'm dying. So the business model situation I was dealing with is based on 3 concepts. And my friends know what I'm talking about right now. The North Star, progress, and gratitude framework. So de-escalation and escalation toward any path is based upon being able to see the reason to move toward the path. So, and have a reason that's big enough to move you toward that. So if I feel like me working out, I can become a world level basketball player, a world level UFC fighter, a world level bodybuilder, whatever the outcome I want to pull is high enough for me to feel motivated to even want to go in the first place. That's based upon my own personal ego thoughts and my own thoughts on what I can be, what I should be, my own self-esteem. Then I can move toward that star that has to be there. The next piece is gratitude. So you have to take account where you are right now. So if my goal is to be a world level UFC fighter, for me personally, I just want to have the physique and the ability to fight as if I was on the level of a world level fighter. Not sure about being straight up UFC, not sure about going to fights my whole life. I care about business a lot. I probably will do some fights, but when it comes to the path, all I needed in my brain to be excited about it was to have the same physique, same fight ability as someone who could be a world champion, has the ability to win fights with their legs, with their hands, that whole thing. So my North Star, as shown there, would be that idea of having that kind of physique. My gratitude is based in where I am now. Where I am now. So if I'm fat, if I have 250 pounds of fat on my body, or if I'm an athlete, I need to know where I am now and be grateful for where I have now in order to even set the North Star in the first place. So in all reality, you gotta have gratitude before you set the North Star, which is pretty much self-esteem. When you set the North Star, use your gratitude to allow you to know where you are again. So it's gratitude, North Star, gratitude. Be thankful enough to set a star high enough for you to move forward, for you to be excited. Then, as you look at the North Star, have enough gratitude to analyze where you are now, be grateful for what you've done in the past, know what you've done in the past. You've done some positive things. You've gone to the gym 1 or 2 times. You've talked to your friends about working out 1 or 2 times. You've imagined yourself seeing the situation where you could have got there to even set the North Star in the first place. And you have some progress in another direction that you can use as motivation to give you peace of mind, knowing you're not in desperation towards the North Star. Because Desperation toward the North Star is just as bad as not having a North Star at all, because you'll do anything it takes to get to the star, which means hurting people, removing other principles, not genuinely trying to have a pace of growth that does not remove quality. And you want quality, because quality matters. And if you don't actually go to the gym and try to make every rep count, then the reps that you do make will not get you closer to your goal, which means you just get hurt. So gratitude, to be okay and have a high self-esteem for what you could even imagine, to put the star in the sky what you're chasing, then gratitude after the star, so North Star second, place it, then gratitude again to be able to recalibrate enough to the point where you can know what you have to do, which is now the progress piece. Now you track your task toward the goal. So how do you think about the North Star mindset? With the North Star mindset, here we go. This is North Star mindset. This is the North Star. That is a vague outcome, right? I want to be a millionaire. I want to be strong, whatever it is, right? And then you walk toward that gray outcome, that vague outcome, just step by step, right? And as you do so, you're going to set goals. This is a goal. And these are steps on the path to that goal. Another goal. This could be to have good legs, and this one can be to be able to punch if it's fighting. Then this right here are steps toward that goal. For legs, you gotta train differently you would train for arms, but the overall goal is to have a certain output. These goals are specific as F. They're specific so much to the point, and they're time bound, so they make you have steps to go toward them. Now, these goals and steps are gonna change. And this mindset was given to me by a Marine, and I asked him about the idea of diligence. So being diligent toward the outcome, but flexible on the goals. So clear outcome, defined outcome, flexible on the way to get there. An example, this is from Tai Lopez actually. He was talking about a wall is in front of you and your goal is to get on the other side of this wall. Somebody who's not diligent will use a pickaxe and just smack that wall over and over and over again. Someone who's diligent will try to pickaxe for a bit, spend the time there, see the rate of change is not what they want more, and then they'll go and try a bomb. They'll go and try to drive around. They'll go. Let's go again. Okay. There we go. Train again. Or they'll go and they will try to drive under it, around it. This train is going crazy right now. But the point is they're trying different steps to get the same outcome. Bro, it's crazy work. It's literally right there. I can see the train right now. So, yeah. So North Star, how to get to the North Star, this right here is your progress, and the North Star is there. So this is about knowing where you're supposed to go, knowing this mindset, that frame, right, of getting progress from A to B, right? When you're going from A to B and your B is higher or different than those around you, different than those who are near you and have seen you grow in your past, right? Then it's gonna be hard for them to attach to yours and motivate you towards your goal without looking at themselves and thinking, dang, I should be shooting for more, and his goal makes me feel bad because they don't have the same mindset. And they also don't have enough gratitude to stay on the path they're on. So depending on how mentally strong someone is, it will show you how much they can interpret the fact that pros and cons happen on both paths, and it's okay for you to be on a different path than they are, and they can focus on their path. Now, if they're not okay with their outcome, that's an entirely different story, and it's way harder for them to even support you on your path. So, we understand now that we can escalate and de-escalate toward any path, and all of them has pros and cons. With that in mind, we also know the problem we have now is we're gonna butt into the worlds of those around us because they don't have the gratitude to be able to move on their path and stay on their path and not be jealous of you moving on your path. So if they believe in you on your path, they are in turn not believing in themselves, and they can't offset that with gratitude because they don't believe in themselves or not thankful for what they have to the point where they can keep going. I dealt with this personally. This is something that happens in everyone's mind at all times. People who are super, super easy to be around, easy to talk to, master this piece, they can motivate themselves toward their own North Star and also be grateful enough to not compare to the point where they lose progress when someone else wins in a different direction. For me, as again, a 22-year-old who wants to be a really good entrepreneur that is gonna be shadows exponentially better than most of the entrepreneurs in my family. That's my goal in some regard. It's not comparison to them, but I only compare because it's the goals that I have are different than theirs. So when I speak to them, it doesn't make sense. They can't rationalize it because it's different goals, right? So back to the value. The grass is greener, yes, but it's also shittier. So when I tell them, I don't judge them for what they do, but I'm doing something different. They can't perceive that because they never had to gain the skills of gratitude. And when it comes to an environment where people aren't using their own self-motivation, they don't have to fight against it as much. So if you tell them different, they're never gonna be able to go against the fact you're hurting them mentally, especially if it's those who have taught you in the past somewhere. Mentors, teachers, parents, they're fighting this demon, this gratitude demon. It's almost like they have an emotional response to whatever you're doing being different. And then on top of that, if they care about you, they're worried about your safety, they're worried about you being a good upholder of the family name, of their reputations. They've probably put their reputation on yours or on the line to raise you and keep you there. And that's all being put to stake when you tell them, I'm doing this other thing that you probably don't believe that I can do. And if you did believe that I can do it, then you're gonna feel like shit for yours because you were never trained to have gratitude in your own path. So, how do you get out of this freaking hole, man? That is the point of the day. How the freak do you get out of this hole? And I'm not here to preach to you. I am still learning this myself, but I've made a lot more progress toward one business model, info products, and I've been getting revenue from this for a longer period of time than I ever did for this. I started running clipping armies. There was a group where they're setting up clipping armies for creators and businesses in the area, and you gotta run an agency of you placing clippers for these people. And a documentary came out about that group, and I watched it, and I found it amazing. And I was looking at it, I was like, dang, I could have been one of the people who won in this thing. And it genuinely like upset me a little bit because it had me reflecting on the fact that I changed models because I felt like it wasn't scalable. Me looking back on that now, that was stupid because everything's scalable. There's things in that business that can be automated, and I didn't do it because I lost the North Star gratitude progress mindset, and I got some shiny object syndrome, and I had that for like a long time. I'm still getting out of it now. I've been on the same model for a long time, and I think this is gonna pop off with info products. But the thing is, when I saw the documentary about this group, the creators showing the results they had and the story they had, it brought back some emotions in me. And combine that with the fact that I had a conversation with folks that love me, apparently, about whether I should be on the path that I was on, why I dropped out of college. They were talking about the reason, like they were just frustrated with me because I risked their reputation, I risked the work they put into me. I think it was all worth it. I kept all the skills that I learned, and during the entire time that I was on the path that they put for me, which is an amazing path, by the way. It doesn't matter how many times I say that to them, they're never gonna understand I think it's an amazing path, because if they did, then they wouldn't be worried about the idea that I didn't analyze both paths and then genuinely try their path. They don't think that I analyze their path because they think that I disregard their path because I'm not grateful for what they gave me. I am. I just don't want the outcome they have. I want a bigger outcome. So I gotta try different stuff, right? So, what I had to do was understand the real principles of life. What does success mean for me? I was sitting there thinking about, oh, they made money. And in the frame of those who are not in the same mindset as me also care about money more than I do. The crazy thing is, when I ask people who are on a path that's less risky, that's more safe, and has immediate cash where they can get like 40, 50K a year, I turned down a $40 an hour internship for a large company. A large company, you probably recognize if I said it. They have a big stake in green stuff like this. I'm not gonna say the name, but the point is, they probably built every single tractor you've ever seen. All the nice ones were made by the same company. and I had a data science internship there. And I pretty much put that down through my college career. I spent years in college through academic scholarship, and I spent there for 3 or 4 years. On the 4th year, ended up leaving after my first semester of college. After my first semester of college, senior year of college, so 3 years in, senior year, did the first semester, and then the entire time I'm thinking what I'm gonna do. Even when I came back after my sophomore year, I brought like 2 boxes and a bag because I was locked in on trying to get my mindset changed. And I'm seeing progress in my mindset. I'm happier than I ever thought I would be, and my brain is so much more at peace just about the fact that I can control my mind more, and I'm learning more about myself. So this path is teaching me massively things that I don't think I would have learned because the feedback loop was so much longer when it came to an internship with a bit less risk and also a larger safety net. So my assets are in my mind. My assets are in what make life actually good. And I'm a bit more detached from short-term money than I used to be. But all that interprets from someone who has not done that is you're turning down money, you're turning down opportunities, you don't make sense, you're disrespecting us. How do I get out of that? The conversations that I had, I recorded them all and I look back over them to make sure that to see where I was, where I messed up at. And of course I had some communication errors. Everybody does. I did, they did. It wasn't it wasn't extremely productive. There's pros and cons to everything. But I remember myself trying to communicate to them, yeah, nah, this is good. I'm in a positive mindset. That's not true. This is true. That's not true. I agree with you. But none of it went through. And looking back on it, in the moment I was fine. But in the days following, as this documentary came up, I went through the documentary, and afterward, the limiting beliefs of what happened in the conversation with those that love me came back immediately. I started questioning whether I was on the right path, I made any progress. All of a sudden, it was like everything I worked toward disappeared, and I was at ground zero. And to be honest, that's all they saw. And that's all they said that I was in during the entire conversation because it's all they see. And from their reality, it's true. I can't take on their reality because the outcome I want is different. So if I'm trying to be a basket weaver and you're trying to be a football player and you don't understand what basket weaving is, every task I've done toward basket weaving is useless until I've made the final basket. So it's time to make the final basket. That's what I'm trying to say. How do you get out of that hole? I did it by going back to the deepest principles. The main one being, again, the grass is greener, but it's also shittier on both sides, on all paths. There's pros and cons to every single path. This is one thing that Iman Ghazi was talking about in the podcast. He was explaining about when he had this event, and there were people there that had like billions of dollars, and someone had hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. There's ranging from $50K to multiple millions per month in revenue. And there were times when someone who had more money than him wanted his systems, and there was times that he wanted what the person who had more money than him had, which is more success. And they both help each other because of the pros and cons of both their situations. The same thing happens with everything else, with every other path. And understanding that, I was able to go back to the point of, yeah, they made 65K, but what did I learn? On the paradigm of money, they beat me. I'm going to make a lot of money in the future. I have no doubt of that, but keep on the same path that I'm on. And all paths can make money, pretty much. Most of the business models pretty much work. I mean, if you provide value to the marketplace and you understand how to do minimum value product, this is based upon what I've learned from Alex Becker. He had a video where he's talking about what to do in your 20s and the skills you should learn, and to not chase business models, but to chase skills. Pretty much, all I'm doing is walking in the path and trying to grow my skills to the point where I can make something great. And with that mindset, that reframe of principles, it all of a sudden went from me comparing myself to the results of this business model on one paradigm, which is success and money on the path, on that one path, or monetary wealth, to me saying that's one medium I want to tap into. I have grown in this many, and I've got more friends than I ever had before. I'm having more social time and genuinely connecting with humans on a level that I've never had in my lifetime. I didn't think that I could. I'm in a situation where I see more emotional and mental assets and ability to provide value to all people around me than I had before because I didn't have immediate monetary success. And I think having monetary success with no emotional success would only mean that I would be used for money. The only thing I could pull from was money. with emotional and personal emotional intelligence combined with monetary assets, it's almost like both of them are exponentially higher, because now when I have 100K in the bank and I want to help 10 people, I don't give them 10K a piece. I have 100K in the bank and I want to help 10 people, I can give them $100 a piece and then use the rest of it with just being there for them, understanding what their actual personal needs are, and trying to figure out how I can signal to them that I'm a trusted place and I can trust on them, which allows me to pretty much 10x, 20x the ROI of all my money and also my relationships. And those go together when it comes to building a life. And my goal is to have a good life over money. My goal is freedom over money. And the money will come as long as I provide value to the marketplace. Now, does that mean I'm going to disregard the motivation I have in watching that video? No, I'm going to lock into that video. But I wanted to walk through this. Hopefully some of that rant can be used by people to try and get some tidbits from someone who's working super hard toward being one of the most successful entrepreneurs in his family. And it's taken a pretty hard, risky path. And the reason why it was risky is because I diverted from what I was gifted when it comes to the set decisions about college and about where they thought I should be at my age and about where they wanted me at my age. And I think that I'm ahead, honestly, of whatever curve they put me on, but at the same time, that curve hasn't come into reality yet, and I gotta trust that. But when I look back at the friends that I've made, I look back at the amount of emotional, openness I've created with people that I never had before. I look back at how much entitlement I shaved off my brain. I took a personality test 2 years ago in college, and when I tell you, there were 7 indicators of narcissism on that test. It was a Tai Lopez test, and they had entitlement, they had exhibitionism, everything. Just how much you are a narcissist compared to others in each paradigm. The paradigms were based, so let's say if it's looking, right? Looks, narcissism. Then apply the concept of narcissism to that paradigm. There are 7 of them. The concept is a narcissist is someone who can walk into a room, be told that, yeah, I don't feel good by someone else, and they come back and try to get that person on their goals without remembering that person felt bad. Now, imagine that on a scale from 1 to 10. I was 70% on almost every metric except looks. So now I took it again a couple weeks ago, and all of them are down. It took me from someone who could only be a mentor to someone who was more of a dreamer, more of an entrepreneur. And I think that's wholly in part to the path that I'm on now. So the emotional assets, the mental assets I've gained are gonna carry me the rest of my life, but have not translated into money yet, and I gotta be okay with that. Now, am I gonna work my butt off to make that happen? Yes. But am I in desperation? No. And that's the goal, to get back to non-desperation, progress, to have hunger and gratitude. So when you think about hunger, for me at least, I got this from Andrew Tate's model, was from a video where he was sitting on a private jet talking about how he made his money. And the concept was, if you're a lion, lions don't go out and decide to chase down a gazelle because they just want to risk getting hit in the face. They don't go for fun. They go because they're hungry. They have teeth, they have the ability to hunt, so they have to go hunt. It's what they do. That's what I'm going about with money. It's not going to be a desperation, oh, I need this thing I can't get, I'm far from that thing. I'm going to walk toward it, I'm going to move toward it with vigor and diligence and prudence, and then at the same time be grateful for everything I have so far, and I'm going to make sure I check out my boxes of progress. Another thing that I learned from Iman, he was talking about in his video, actually of the WAP announcement video, he said in the thing, one of the assets I've had, or one of the helpful things he's done in his life, was the concept of looking forward and back and not side to side. He looked more forward and back for what he's going and where he's come from, rather than looking at others to see where they're going, where they're coming from. And in so, we can build amazing things. That sounds like some woo-woo crap, some woo-woo bull crap in the air, but when I see that paradigm in everyone's life, it's like you can be happy and strive at the same time. People don't think that though.